Right then, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are. My name is Paul. I'm the man in charge of a blog called The Knickknacks Old Peculiar, which is very old and very peculiar. I'm also the man who, on said blog, releases the daily teaser quiz. Please feel free to have a look around the blog and see what you make of them. Feel free to copy the questions. I give you my permission, so long as you acknowledge where you got them from in a quiz. And I also do film and movie reviews. I'm half thinking there's a new version of The War of the Worlds doing the rounds, which I might watch, but then again I might not, because I've actually heard it's god-awful. We'll have to see about that. At any rate, I write quizzes, I watch movies, and I watch TV shows. And if I think you'd be interested in what I have to say about said TV shows, I'll tell you about them. I'll release a review on my blog, on Knickknacks Old Peculiar, and I will release a video version of said blog here on Knickknacks Old Peculiar's YouTube channel at Mr. Cuddy2977. Long story behind the name, but Cuddy was my favourite Terry Pratchett character. At any rate, I'm recording this on Saturday the 16th of August. I'm hoping to release it today or tomorrow, and I'm going to tell you what I thought of the most recent episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. The episode was called The Sehlat Who Ate Its Tail. This is what I saw. This is what I thought. Episode 6, The Sehlat Who Ate Its Tail, opens with a traditional summary of earlier episodes and focuses on a potted history of Lieutenant Commander James T. Kirk, Paul Wesley, in the process. It then shifts to a cold opening to show us Kirk recording his personal log while stationed on the USS Farragut. The Farragut is obviously his current ship, and it's conducting rather boring scans of Helicon Gamma. The recording tells us of his many frustrations, including the fact that, as much as he admires Captain Varel, so Doyle, he also feels his commanding officer is far too by the book for his comfort. But it's only when something attacks the planet that Lieutenant Commander Kirk realises that sometimes the risky option isn't the safest bet. Post-credits, we see the USS Enterprise coming to the rescue of the Farragut and seeing the boarding party, Nurse Chapel, Lieutenants Uhura, Spock and Noonien Singh, and Lieutenant Junior Grade Montgomery Scott, respectively Jess Bush, Saleha Rose Gooding, Ethan Peck, Martin Quinn and Christina Chong, arriving on the remains of the Farragut and immediately finding a wounded crewman. With communications down, Nurse Chapel volunteers to take the crewman to sickbay, Scotty volunteers to head for engineering, and Spock, Uhura and La'an head for the bridge. When they get there, they literally find that all hell is breaking loose. Now, what did I make of The Sehlat Who Ate Its Tail? What did I make of an episode of, and let's get honest here, has echoes of time to come? The first thing I should tell you is that some of the episodes of this series, I think, look to horror or ghost stories for inspiration. Last week's episode, Through the Length of Time, was if you choose to look at it that way, is and was a haunted house story. Episode 3, Shuttle to Kenvori, is a good old-fashioned zombie movie, even if Dr. Mabenga was telling us that the brain-eating hideous things weren't exactly what you call undead. The Sehlat Who Ate Its Tail looks elsewhere for its basic spook factor, I think. I feel the episode is a Star Trek equivalent to The Flying Dutchman. It's about a cursed ship doomed to eternally sail the seven seas and never make landfall, although it adds a potential twist to the tale. The classic version of The Flying Dutchman tells us the ship was cursed to sail the oceans eternally as punishment for various misdeeds. It's comparable, I think, to the castaways in Space Seed, the original series that introduced Khan Noonien Singh. He's the leader of a bunch of genetic supermen who tyrannized the Earth during a various series of wars and were punished by being exiled on a sleeper ship. Flying Dutchman. By contrast, this take on the story tells us that the Dutchman's not a prison ship, but a scavenger ship, and it's been stealing parts from other ships, from Klingon ships, Federation ships, ever since its human crew fled the Earth after World War III, many centuries earlier. They fled Earth, they fled a world they felt was doomed to die from war and environmental collapse, and they were better off as far from home as possible. How they went from space-going idealists to scavenging piratical menaces is something the episode never answers. That Flying Dutchman substrate, base, whatever, that is only one half or one part of the story. The other is simply Lieutenant Commander Kirk, or possibly Captain Kirk, as we should call him temporarily. The Sehlat who ate its tail sees Varel, Farragut's captain, incapacitated in the initial scavenger ship attack. So most of the episode tells us Kirk's story, how he deals with the pressures of his first temporary command, how he learns how to deal with both the crisis and his damaged ship and his current and future crew. Frankly, as good as the main story or the idea of it is, and it's a wonderfully told main story, seeing the future Captain Kirk with his real crew, seeing the start of the relationships between members of the USS Enterprise crew, the start of what we come to see in the original series, that had me riveted. It really did. We see the start of the relationship between Kirk and Scott. We see the driven captain on the one hand and the determined engineer on the other. We see the womanizer. We see Kirk the flirt, as we're given a brief glimpse of the restrained flirting between Kirk and La'an. And we also see Kirk's working relationship with Spock start. We see Spock and Kirk's relationship starting to evolve, and we see Spock becoming the far more familiar, the far more logical character we know from Star Trek, the original series. Is the Sehlat who ate its tail worth watching just to see the start of these relationships? Does it show the characters becoming the much-loved characters we know of old? Is it funny? Is it dark? Is it the original series, or look like the original series at its best? Yes, it is. It does. And quite definitely, yes, it bloody well is. I have to add at this point, I think there is other stuff potentially going on. Not serious stuff, more things I've noticed. Trivia, if you will. For starters, the planet that the Farragut is surveying is called Helicon Gamma, and I'm assuming it's the third planet of a star called Helicon. Gamma's the third letter of the Greek alphabet. I thought it was actually the fourth, but no, I double-checked Wikipedia. It's the third. So I'm assuming, because of that, it's the third planet of the system. I'm also wondering if the name Helicon is one that's featured in Star Trek before now, I don't know, or if it's a nod to Brian Aldiss' Heliconia trilogy. Again, I don't know. But the oldest books about a planet called Heliconia that orbits a binary star system. Fascinating read. The title of the episode, Kirk describes himself as the dog that caught the car, as somebody who's achieved a longed-for goal or desire and doesn't know what to do about it. Now he's done it, which is where Spock tells him the Vulcan equivalent is the Sehlat who ate its tail. The Sehlat itself, I should add at this point, is an animal first mentioned in a classic Star Trek episode called Journey to Babel. It introduces us to Spock's parents and shows us Spock's mother, revealing Spock had a Sehlat as a pet when he was a child. It's a pet we finally see in an animated series episode called Yesteryear. And finally, on top of all that lot, this episode sees Scotty mentioning John Logie Baird, the British invention of the television set. I think we should start collecting these, quite possibly. It's on a par with his British English pronunciation of lieutenant as lieutenant in Hegemony Part 1, or his use of the Scots English word boarhead in Hegemony Part 2. We're getting official Scottyisms. Now, I don't know if they've decided Scotty is the token Scotsman or one of the token British peoples, but I'm hoping his appearance in little throwaway lines like that are sort of slightly educational and a reminder to all of the show's viewers that not everybody speaks American English. Personally, I kind of like it. So, finally, what did I make of the Sehlat who ate its tail? I think we've got a bloody fantastic episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds here. Can I make a confession? I tend to think of most Star Trek series by the subtitles. So I think of Star Trek The Next Generation as Next Gen or TNG. I think of Star Trek Lower Decks as just Lower Decks. I think of Star Trek Discovery as Discovery. Calling it Disco seems a little rude, but there we go. You get my gist here. Star Trek Strange New Worlds, by contrast, is just Star Trek rather than SNW or Strange New World. More so with this episode, with the Sehlat who ate its tail. Star Trek Strange New Worlds, this episode of it,
is Star Trek.
With all that implies. Frankly, I can only tell you what I think here at this point, and that is to say, the Sehlat who ate its tail is one hell of a good episode. It's got an on-form cast, it's got writing that's on point, and it's got a story that has kept me riveted for the minutes it was on my TV.
That
is all I can ask. Right then, this once again is where I'm going to be leaving things. Before I go, I am going to do a few things in conclusion. First off, I am going to say thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this, there's going to be plenty more where it came from, and there's also going to be a lot of film reviews and quizzes. So if you'd like to stick around, please feel free to subscribe to my channel. Please also feel free to have a look at my blog, Knickknacks Old Peculiar. And please, if you think what I've done here is worth your time and want to help out, please, the tip jar is in that top corner there. Like I say, please tip, please subscribe, and thank you for watching. Have a very good day, have a very good time, enjoy the episode if you watch it, and come back next week. I'll be watching the next episode. I'll see you then, hopefully, but until then, goodbye, farewell, and be seeing you.